The underdog character is something pretty common in anime. It's a pretty common trope. There's characters like Naruto, Rock Lee, Asta, Krillin, Deku. Underdog! Nah, but it is a pretty common trope in fiction. However, Kojiro to me just stands out as one of the more consistent underdogs of all time. I just think at the fact that he's a loser samurai who never wins and is put into a situation where he fights off against the one person that is quite literally the god that doesn't take anything from anyone, especially from people who are just bottom feeders to him, and he just looks down upon them. He looks down on people like Kojiro. They clearly wanted to have a Gaara versus Rock Lee type fight with Poseidon versus Kojiro. However, I believe this fight just outdoes Gaara versus Rock Lee and is really one of the more top tier underdog stories. I know that may sound kind of weird, but that's just what I personally believe. However, I'm not just going to be like, oh, it's my opinion and not really give an argument. I'm just going to be, elaborating as to why I think this. And if you guys agree or disagree, let me know down below. Now, before I elaborate even further into Kojiro versus Poseidon, I'm going to be talking about his backstory and where he comes from, and basically give off the backstory of history's greatest loser. Kojiro originally attended in this JoJo where he was considered barely above dead weight and is just the guy that loses all the time, the cannon fodder, the guy that no one really looks at and really just thinks of anything that really significant. This then led into him deciding to train with nature, moving like a rabbit and catching them, etc. And he would also do this after taking L's in the dojo, and this would then lead into him improving upon his skills. Kojiro, before going out and training after taking L's in the dojo, never really had talent, but then he figured out a talent that he had. And that was basically just refining his skills every time he took an L. And the more L's he took, the more his skills were refined and the more Kojiro adapted. This would then lead into Kojiro going back to the dojo and foreseeing a scrap with the one guy who always slapped him as an easy W, and he just saw the guy in half. He would then request his master to reveal his technique, and after that he dips for 4 years and basically just continues refining his skills to the point to where he surpasses everyone, including the old man. What I take away from this was the reason why Kojiro wanted to see the old man's technique was so he could see what he's capable of and basically refine his skills to the point to where he surpasses that. He basically used the old man as a measuring stick and allowed himself to surpass that, and this measuring stick allowed him to reach new heights. He would go on to travel and have a journey, but not just a normal journey, but a journey of L's. He would go on to just lose repeatedly, all while adapting and climbing up to his peak. We even see Kojiro self-acknowledging that he is known to be history's greatest loser, and he is always just going to be getting stronger while taking L's, so it's really just a mixed bag he's getting hit with. And Kojiro, even acknowledging being a loser, doesn't really decide to give up, but rather just keep adapting, since that is his one and only talent. This would then lead into Kojiro versus Poseidon, which for me personally is my third favorite fight in Record of Ragnarok so far. The only thing else that really happens is that Kojiro faces off against his friend once again, the one that's spectating, and he would be reminiscing and talking about him and Kojiro's match, where he would beat Kojiro. So it's just Kojiro taking another L once again. However, he was glad to duel with his friend. But yeah, with that being said, we can now dive into Kojiro versus Poseidon, which honestly is so solid in every single way. You see, Record of Ragnarok has a lot of really good dynamics, and Kojiro and Poseidon is a really good one as well. And since I already explained Kojiro's reputation, let's explain Poseidon's reputation. He is the Zeus of the seas, Zeus's older brother. He is the most feared god. He killed Adamus. He has such a high reputation, and Poseidon looks down upon people like Kojiro, or people, like mortals. He refers to them as bottom feeders, and he doesn't take anything from them, and Kojiro even says that that is a pretty sad life to live, which leads into an interesting conflict which we see all the time in fiction, which is, the underdog versus natural raw talent, which is honestly perfect for Record of Ragnarok. Even if you want to say this is unoriginal, it's honestly perfect for the series, and this would have to happen considering the fact that one of the main themes already is mortals versus gods. Obviously, there's going to be a god that looks down upon these mortals, and the mortal being on the come-up, and Kojiro being the mortal on the come-up, while Poseidon would be the god that looks down upon mortals. I will say Poseidon by himself is a little boring, and I can understand why people kind of get that impression. However, with Kojiro, the dynamic makes it way too significant, or I guess way more significant than Poseidon by himself, and the dynamic is just too good. And I can understand why Poseidon is the more serious one. It would either have to be him or Zeus, but since Zeus already took the goofy, funny side, obviously Poseidon's gonna have to compensate for that and would have to be the more serious brother. The dynamic between these two characters is already pretty good, and when they are conflicting with each other, it's honestly pretty good. Not just, them scrapping and fighting with each other, but when they're trying to talk to each other and Poseidon telling Kojiro about what he thinks of people like him. Not to mention, the fight itself complements really well with the narrative and what it's trying to tell the viewers, with Poseidon clearly having the advantage, however Kojiro having this ability to basically scan people and allow him to adapt and try and get stronger, allowing him to actually, surpass Poseidon, which is what he does by the end of the fight. And speaking of, I just want to quickly go over this, his abilities completely complement his character as well, since again he is the greatest loser and all he does is really adapt and try and get stronger, and his ability of having basically precognition and being able to adapt before the move is made is honestly pretty clever. And obviously, I'm going to say something pretty obvious, but Kojiro bringing the first W to the mortal team also complements his character. Not to mention, him beating Poseidon is actually considered to be his first W ever in his life. And honestly, everything just complements his character really well, and Record of Ragnarok definitely knows what they're doing with Kojiro and what they want to tell. And honestly, they did Kojiro really well, and really all they can do now is just give him more character moments and make him one of the more goated characters in the tournament. He already is one of the more goated characters, but I'm talking even more goated. Also, the way that Kojiro got his dub against Poseidon was honestly amazing. He made it seem like Poseidon was just so much higher and stronger than him, and the gap between them was massive, but Kojiro then used everything that he basically learned throughout his entire life. No matter how many L's he took, he basically took everything that he learned and used it against Poseidon, and managed to turn the tides and clutch up the very first W for the mortal team. And that's really all I have to say about Kojiro. He's pretty much the GOAT, and definitely one of my favorite underdogs in all of fiction. With that being said, if you guys want to see more Record of Ragnarok video essays, let me know down below. With that being said, if you guys want more character analysis videos, let me know down below. Power scaling, what ifs, whatever. That being said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Most of you aren't even subscribed, the people that watch my videos, so just subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you are notified and updated every time I upload. Follow me on Twitter and join the Discord server. My name is Tylearn. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace out and bye everyone.